Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a hold of Chris Edrington. I'm sure a couple of you remember him from last month's meeting. He was going to join us today on lessons learned, but something came up and he was unable to attend. So,
A lot of great information. I wasn't able to join last month either at the operator meeting, but I reviewed the meeting and really was a lot of good feedback too when he was talking and currently operates homes. He's been doing it forever and has some different ideas. I mean, as a previous operator, I mean, we're not going to agree with everything everybody does, and there's not just one way to do stuff, but it's really nice to hear a different perspective on how things can be done and a different way of looking at things. And the one thing that I thought was great was um, because I'm not in recovery myself, so it's not I don't attend like house meetings and stuff. When I was running homes, but on track by attending those meetings periodically or have somebody attend those meetings so they can be like, they don't turn into sessions where they're complaining about each other. This is about your recovery. What's going on with your recovery and kind of try to keep them focused. So, a lot of great ideas. So, again, this meeting's for you guys, especially too. The hope is to have some seasoned um, operators on here with some new ones as well, so you can kind of share the lessons you've learned over the years, so that others don't have to go through everything to find out what you already know. So sharing your words of wisdom, sharing things that you've been through that can help another operator be more successful or look at doing things in a different way. I appreciate you guys joining us today. This is kind of like a test to see maybe we'll get a better turnout today. Um, having it different, it's hard to have a 2-hour meeting. and we're all really busy during the week. So we're kind of seeing how does it go having it on a different day at a different time and see. So is there anybody that has a subject that they'd like to talk about today and as part of a discussion?
I could share.
hi.
I could share a conversation that I had with a church that also a has taken on also doing a lot of community classes as a resource to anyone that's at risk, or anyone that's just wanting to improve their life or enrich their life. And I guess it's more of an observation that I noticed that his organization and my organization have in common. Um, is that one of the things I really liked about his organization is, even though it's a church, it's praise God based. One of the comments that he made, and it was the pastor slash executive director, is he was saying, even if an atheist came to my church, I would appreciate that as much as if it was a diehard traditional Christian. Because as an organization that wants to give back to the community and help the community, it's not about making people like me. It's about contributing positively to the community, and through that mindset, allows us to not have put our personal biases onto others, which will then, as a negative side effect, lower the quality of service that we bring to our people. And I happen to agree with his viewpoint a lot, because I find one of the things I enjoy about my organization is I people that are atheists, that don't have a religious base focus as being part of their recovery, they feel like we're not pushing God on them. But at the same time, I have a lot of people that are very faith based, and they also equally feel, well, I feel comfortable here because I don't feel like you're slamming me because I'm praising God. And and that also expands into, some people really believe in the traditional 12 steps, while other people believe in something else. And I've gotten compliments that, hey, I'm glad that your team, you know, um, appreciates and puts importance on a variety of pathways. And so I guess the surrounding messages is it's really great or I challenge people to always expand their horizons on what's acceptable because it makes it better for us to serve other people in a diversified way.
Great. Yeah, it's a great point.
I mean, I kind of agree with Preston there, like that, the different pathways. Like, I know when our programs were first starting, it was you had to do this many AA or NA meetings. And if that wasn't where someone felt the most drawn to, it's hard to get them to go to them. And
Hmm.
now be able to say, hey, we got smart recovery, we've got, Dharma, and allowing the like virtual meetings to where they can then expand their different choice of meetings and finding the ones that really work for them. I think we've gotten a greater involvement in like those support meetings because they're really finding the ones that they connect to and want to stay at. And it's not that you have to do this one way.
Hmm. Yeah, I've even heard from people that like one or two people before, like in the past, that were hesitant on going to AA meetings and starting their recovery because they see it as entirely faith-based or that they have to believe in God and it, like that kind of thing. It's kind of like a stigma that that's part of the 12-step program when there's multiple different pathways to recovery. Not everyone has to believe in God to be on their recovery journey and go to AA meetings.
Well, it's a higher power.
Yeah.
That's and a lot of people refer that, God in that, but it's when my late husband and I were running homes, it was basically 12-step focus is what he wanted to focus on because he didn't go to treatment. He got better. He would spend 2 years in a recovery home following 12 steps, and that's what saved his life. So he was really focused on the guys that came through our program. It was 12 steps. He let them go to NA if they wanted to do NA, but he was really 12-step focused, get a sponsor. 2 meetings a week had to be stag meetings, so there's no female across the table from them, right? They weren't focused on the skirt, they were focused on what was going on in the meeting. But since then, yes, definitely it's different paths because that's not for everybody. So but you want to make sure, like sometimes people be like, well, church is my path. Okay. You got to go more than just on Sunday morning to go to church. I mean, you've got to make it part of your recovery. What are you doing during the week? They should still have so many meetings per week, that they're involved or whatever, again, whatever path they choose. But, what do you guys think?
We've made some connections with churches because again, we're not faith-based either, but hey, whatever you are looking for, we'll help you find it. And so we actually have some people who are willing to do Bible studies with our groups. They'll even come to the home if they want to. So we can sometimes have like, hey, the whole house is interested in it. So that we have someone coming for a while to do like Bible studies, or they'll even do them offsite too if they want to do one-on-one. And so we've made those connections to where we may have someone at a church you are interested in. And kind of like Preston, we have a group that does, it's faith-based. It does like helps you get IDs, helps you budget, helps you all those kinds of things. They also have like kind of peer support through the church. And so we can get connected that way to have someone to do those additional steps, which is really nice because everyone needs sometimes that extra support just to go to.
Right. The thing to remember though is when it's faith-based or Buddha or whatever, it's you got to make sure that those cannot be mandatory meetings for the individuals, for every individual that's in your home, because they may not believe in that way. So you can't make it a mandated meeting that they need to attend. So make sure that you're being flexible.
And if we have them in the house, it's always does anybody want to attend? If not, we'll say, hey, because not everyone wants to do that. Let's go ahead and maybe do it outside. Or if they're all on board, they kind of schedule together themselves, which is kind of nice too. They take that initiative to be kind of peer leading that part.
Mhm.
Yeah, at our house, I'm okay with like doing in the rooms. Like they'll send me their confirmation via email that they, it's timestamped. So I know that they went in the room at this time. Sometimes it's for gambling, something completely different from their drug of choice. It's like a secondary thing. So, and then every day they have to tell me what they feel was their recovery activity for the day. So whether it was prayer or self-care or any, mindful activities, meditation, like something else on top of the 12 steps. And it is mandatory for at least one in person, but I do accept online meetings as long as they have their verification. And it doesn't have to just be an AA, or that's why like in the rooms and SoberLink and all them are a wide range. You can pick whatever platform of recovery you need. So
That's
Well, just
awesome.
in case I'm being misunderstood, what I mean is they should be mandated, but as far as a religion,
yeah,
if somebody isn't religious, you can't
yeah,
force them to go to, right? So I just
yeah.
want to make sure that I didn't misspeak.
Yeah, I got one girl that likes to do CR. She'll do a CR once a week, but yeah.
I like that. I like that though, how you brought up, because um, there's second things, in place. Like, there's substance use, but maybe gambling was part of that. And a lot of times when somebody gives up one addiction, if they have that addictive personality, a lot of times they give up one addiction for another, right? So maybe it was alcohol, now it's something else, or maybe now it's they're addicted to gambling, or they're addicted to porn, or food, or there could be a wide range of things. So I love that idea where you're digging a little bit deeper and allowing them that opportunity, or having other groups in your homes that maybe can help them with that other area that they're challenging with. They have a challenge with. Good.
That's a great topic. I feel like churches have a lot of community involvement also. So it's a great way, like even if you're not into the church or follow Christ or anything like that, like you can still get involved with the church because it's a really easy pathway to community involvement and making connections with people and um like joining different groups and things like that. That's a big part of what the church helps with, I think.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the button there. Because many times we also tell people, even if you don't want to be religious based, churches is a good area, in order to get out of that habit of self-isolation, you
Mhm.
need to find some kind of positive, safe environments to go to so that you can start retraining your brains and your behaviors to some new way of having healthy social involvement.
Exactly.
And church things that churches host is a good first step to figure out what is it that you like
Mhm.
now that you're not in the rut of, well, I like to go in my room and drink all night.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of events, a lot of connections, a lot of resources that the church helps people with.
Well, it's a lot of, like you said, resources. So there's financial resources available too. We had people that they weren't necessarily religious, but they found that there was resources there that helped them get work, or help them financially to maybe put a down payment on something. I mean, churches, they have money donated, right? So they're looking for ways to give back to the community, and so that can be a good resource for individuals
Okay,
as
let
well.
me go back to.
Good. I hear you, Glenna.
Mm.
So I
Find
thought
another.
as I having Chris last month was great because I always love hearing Chris's ideas and different things. Because I've heard Chris talk a lot, and it's always great. Talked about that community and stuff. And so little off topic, but I was super excited last month. We did all of the recovery houses up in our Kalamazoo area. So four different programs. We all came together and had a holiday dinner, trying to get that back out there, having,
Six.
that community and people, kind of just being together in that recovery community. And so it was our program plus Reach and two of the other programs up there. And just a nice time to see them in a different atmosphere,
Yeah, that's
having,
correct.
community and
Yes.
food and
9, 4,
talking about recovery. That we're kind of hopeful to
6,
do a couple more this year
2.
just to keep that going because getting them out of, again, that usual, I only am going to this one thing or that one meeting, and knowing that there are others right there with them, like walking that path.
Yeah.
What do you think, Wally? You've got many, 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 very many, 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 many years experience.
How many years
Oh,
of recovery again, Wally?
Catherine, you're so complimentary.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get up to 50. Uh,
I've just so many different experiences, but I think, my experience was I came into AA initially. I've been in AA for a lot of years, but um, I've been to so many different groups, and people really don't push God. People are really kind of more understanding about, we talk about giving people time and giving them the space. It took me for the reason that I had when I came in the program, I just had so much guilt and so much shame and stuff. And did I believe in God? I'm not really sure, but I didn't think that God wanted anything to do with me. That was my problem. And it took me 7 years in recovery to get to the point where I found a God of my understanding, or that higher power of my understanding. And I put a lot of faith. I really appreciated the higher power idea. And for me, and it wasn't nobody ever pushed me or tried to push anything on me, and I always appreciated that. But yeah, I mean, I just working the program and working through the steps and working on myself and developing, that spirituality inside of myself, and them giving me time to do that. And then without having like a religion on the outside trying to push things into me, um, I was able to do it from the inside out. And when I finally found what I wanted, I did it because I wanted to, and because that's it just had for me that had to be that way. It was started with the inside and then came out, and it wasn't from the outside people pushing things onto me. And I've always believed in the groups I've gone to that people just don't push God onto people. I mean, um, I mean, I still go in my home group. I mean, we've got people in there who are every possible denomination that you can think, and I mean, including Muslims and everything. I mean, it's just everything um, and it all works together because we have a common goal, right? I mean, have a common goal. We've got a disease that kills people, and we got a disease that if I don't do this stuff, that's going to kill me too. And um, I mean, I had a guy when I was running a treatment program in North Carolina. I was a guy that had 27 years in the program, and his story's in the big book, actually still is. It's called The Five-Time Loser. But he was losing his eyesight, so we were taking turns taking him to meetings, and he started making excuses why he couldn't go. It's like I would call him half an hour ahead of time, said, I'll be there in a half an hour. And he started making excuses why he couldn't go. And, guess what happened? He ended up, after 27 years in the program with the story in the big book, he went back to drinking. And he lost everything in a short period of time. I mean, it's a story that I love sharing with other people because I'll never forget it. And it really helped me so much. I think when that happened, I probably had about 10 years of sobriety. And I put this guy on a pedestal, it's something pretty amazing. But anyway, I mean, to tell you how bad it gets, he had no money, no insurance. He lost all that stuff. He wasn't working anymore. He couldn't work anymore. And he had stopped going to meetings because he had glaucoma, and he was starting to smoke marijuana and didn't want anybody to know about it. So he wasn't talking about it. And it started eating at him from the inside out. And I heard him talk about that after he got sober. But so we got him into a treatment center in North Carolina. And the doctor from the treatment center, who happened to be in the program, called the next morning and said that Well, Morris went out the window overnight. Now, I mean, it kind of blows your mind when you think about this, how this disease, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's just crazy. It's kills too many people, but um we ended up getting him in another treatment center a couple months later, and he ended up getting sober and he died sober. So that's a blessing in itself. But anyway. I don't know where that all was, but I think that we just need to, I don't care what it is, and Preston, I like hearing you talk about it and stuff, but we just need to give people the space to find their own way and introduce them to different things and stuff, but not push them, let them go and I mean, let them find that out for themselves because that's the only way it's going to be lasting. We try and push stuff on people and it's not going to last very long. But if they find their own way and find their own way into that, and I think the common denominator is in order to do that, first of all, they have to stay sober. So that has got to be the focus initially. That has got to be the focus. And I know that, Catherine said I do. I have a little over 50 years in the program, but you know what? One of the things I know is that I'm just like everybody else in this program. I am one drink away from being back there again. And that's what I protect, and that's what I'm going to continue to protect. Every single day I'm sober. So, and I'm grateful for that. Very grateful for that. But I'm also very grateful that I woke up this morning without a desire to drink, Just pretty amazing. The first 6 months in the program, it was every minute of every day, which is horrible. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm also very grateful for being given the gift of willingness to be able to continue to do the things every day that I was taught to do when I first came in the program, when I first got sober. And those things for me are just key. They're key. And I've worked in the addiction field for over 40 years and on the treatment side of it, pretty much. I've worked on the other side of it a little bit, mental health too, but we see too many people go down and not make it, that we just see too many people not make it. So, but we keep trying, don't we? We keep trying and we keep carrying the message and doing the best that we can do. And thank you for saying what you said too, Kayla, because I think it is important that we utilize and I think we have to talk about community resources too, and churches are part of that. And you're right, they do have a lot of opportunities available in all the denominations. It doesn't matter what they are, but yeah, and you can take advantage of that stuff. So
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Ollie.
And I agree, we gotta, give them some space and let them find what their path is. But that giving them that space doesn't mean allowing them to sit at home for a month watching Bugs Bunny and eating Fruit Loops until they figure it out, right? You still got to push that they should be out of that home. They should be, figure it out. Don't if you're going to allow them to stay at home and stay in bed and be on it, they're going to do it. And you're not helping them by allowing that. So it's important to push them, to a certain extent. So you've got rules in place, your program of enrollment, and this is the expectation. And if they just want to lay in bed all day, then, hey, there's a shelter right up the street. There's somebody else that would love that bed and would love that opportunity to figure it out. So pushing them to try different things. So go to a Dharma meeting, try it out. Go to church, try it out. Try these different meetings out. You don't like this group, go to a different one. Sometimes they go to a group. I've heard like AA meetings, they'll go one to one, and there might be some people in there more long term that don't believe that anyone should be in there if they don't have an alcohol issue. They don't, maybe they're not as accepting. And so they get that first taste of going to a group. Maybe they don't feel accepted, which makes it more difficult maybe for them to go and reach out again. So sometimes experiences that they have can make it more challenging for them to want to find another group who they don't know where to go. One thing I was thinking about too when we were talking about stuff is especially when they're early in recovery, just the little things like, hey, you need to go catch the bus and go on job search or whatever. Well, maybe that neighborhood, maybe they walk by this certain street is where they used to buy all their drug. Maybe that's a trigger for them. Think about stuff like that. I mean, maybe there's a certain neighborhood that they're having a difficult time walking through. Kevin had shared with me before that for the longest time, months, he could not go into a grocery store. He just couldn't do it because he just automatically wanted to go down that liquor aisle, right? And he found it so challenging to even get groceries because that's the first thing he wanted to do. It was a trigger for him walking into a grocery store. So just thinking about little things like that when we're working with our people. So great subject.
So, Catherine, I'm like that. There's 4 stores I have not been into since I started my recovery journey. I
Yeah.
only went in them stores for one reason only, and I have avoided them stores. It's 4.5 years. I've avoided them 4 stores since I've been in recovery.
Sometimes that's what you need to do.
And
Yeah.
we're kind of unique in Jackson. Our recovery house is upstairs from our harm reduction, which is next door to our 24-hour engagement center, which is across the street from our RCO, where we hold 8 different meetings, offer 8 different meetings throughout the week. Our guys in outpatient therapy is right down the street, walking distance. AA is right down the street, walking distance. NA is right down the street, walking distance. They've kind of got a lot of everything right at the tips of their hand. 2 of our meetings are faith-based. We also have our local churches help out with their intake fees and their program fees,
Nice.
and they have a strong recovery presence in at least my church does, and my supervisor's church does. There's a strong presence of recovery community in those churches, and we offer them to these guys' church. We don't force them, but we just give them all this variety to take whatever pathway works for them.
But if nothing changes, nothing changes,
Nothing
right? So,
changes.
well,
Yeah,
this is what I like to do. Well, how's that been working for you? Right?
right,
If that hasn't been working for you, you might want to look at something different,
right,
and another thing Kevin used to say, if you want to be the best chef in the whole world, what do? You find the guy that's the best chef in the whole world and you follow him and you do what he does. That's the same thing like with a sponsor and stuff too. If you want to stay sober, follow somebody that's got, 5, 10, 15, 50 years sobriety. Hey, be my sponsor, do what they do. If you want what they have, you're going to have to do what they do. And it changed
right.
things up a bit. So
And
awesome.
we assign a recovery coach to them. They have to meet with a recovery coach at least once a week,
In the
uh,
beginning as well.
right through the whole thing, right from the beginning. Yep.
Okay, good. And you're home in New Vision, correct, Dave?
Yes. Yep. In Jackson.
Okay. A lot of good resources in Jackson. In Ann Arbor, we got homes in Ann Arbor too. Good areas. Good. Jason, you're kind of in the boonies up there where Wayne City. How's the recovery supports up there for you guys in your homes?
I think it's obviously we have a lot of AA and NA meetings in the town. In fact, we've just added 3 more NA meetings. There aren't a lot of Life Ring or um, Dharma meetings. So in my interview of the guys coming into the home, I asked them, what are you looking for in your recovery program? What's your aftercare plan look like? And if they mentioned to me that that they've had an opportunity in treatment to go to Dharma meetings and they'd like to continue their recovery utilizing those meetings, I just let them know that that's great. We respect all pathways. However, you may only find 1 or 2 meetings within a 50-mile radius if you come to the house. So think of that, and making your decision to come here. A lot of them do understand that they could go out online to supplement those meetings. However, I don't count those meetings as required in the house. Ever since COVID has ended, we do require that they get at least 5 face-to-face meetings in through any of and they can pick whatever 12-step program or recovery pathway program. We just, I think it's important that they are face-to-face with other people in recovery. And I'm not opposed to online meetings. I utilize those in my recovery, to help supplement when I'm on the road or traveling, or if I want to attend like adult children of alcoholics. Those are great meetings. Um, I think it's important to have those interpersonal connections with other people in the rooms, and I've seen it within my experience. I see it with the guys that have come through the house. Guys that maintain consistent contact with other people in recovery tend to do better in our homes, and it's unfortunate because we are so far up here that we only have really two uh, pathway meetings that they can go to, but it seems to work. The guys who come in that are hardcore drug addicts that they don't feel comfortable at AA meetings. There's plenty of NA meetings for them to go to, and the guys who are staunch Alcoholics Anonymous followers, then they tend to stay out of the NA meetings. Um, all in all, for being in a rural area, we do have a tremendous recovery community. We have our club here in town. There's 3, sometimes 4 meetings a day that guys can hit. And then in the surrounding areas like Charlevoix, Petoskey, Harbor Springs, Gaylord, it's really unlimited how many meetings a day they could hit if they wanted, or what times, depending on their schedules. So we're blessed in that aspect. There are places, if I go north, if I go across the bridge, it's harder and harder to find meetings, unfortunately. A lot more are starting, but Jennifer and I took a trip up to Quamanon Falls a couple years ago for Valentine's Day, and I wanted to hit a meeting on a Saturday morning, and I had to drive quite a ways to get to a meeting. So I think it's important. I see that it works in the lives of the men who come into our home, and so we just try and push them in a direction that's going to help serve them better. As far as religion, I tell them again in our first talk when we have our initial contact over the phone that we're accepting of all religions. It doesn't matter God, Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, Rasta. It doesn't matter as long as they find something to surrender themselves to. And that's we make it a point to talk to them. Where are you at spiritually in your journey right now in treatment? What do you find being most important for your spiritual recovery? And that's if a guy can talk a lot about what he does for his spirituality, it's a good determining factor on me letting him come to the house, because from my past experience, I see that guys who have a spiritual basis to live life sometimes I'm not saying all the time, but they tended to have a better opportunity of getting sober and staying sober longer. So, for me, it's just a question of, I was willing to go to any length necessary to get drunk or high. And I think if you've got to be willing to go to any length necessary to get sober. So, um, some guys complain about having to drive to Petoskey to go to a meeting because they're working during the day. And and I quickly remind them, what were you willing to do to get drunk and high? And, that seems to kind of hit a nerve with them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but we're blessed up here. We have, like I say, all the way from Mackinac City down through Traverse City, we have, a pretty good recovery community. So we're fortunate.
Now, what about you guys? I mean, you're large enough. How about starting meetings yourself?
Yeah,
Your own home could start a meeting. Like
we do.
when we had homes in Monroe, the guys at our home actually started an HA meeting.
Yeah, the guys.
Heroin Anonymous, because it was just
Okay.
like there was a lot of guys that wanted that type of meeting and they couldn't find it. So they
Yep.
started one, and once a week, but there was like over 50 individuals coming in from the community
That's a good
every
point.
week to attend that meeting. And so, yeah, so your
We tried
community
that. We got in a little bit of trouble. We started an AA meeting, and the neighbors. We had a ton of
because of the cars and stuff.
attendance. Yeah, the cars were parking on the sides of the roads, on people's lawns. We didn't
House
police it
party?
very
What's
well in the
going
beginning.
on?
but there wasn't enough parking spots, you know? So we had to dial it back a little bit. We do
It
run.
can be done at a local church.
Yeah, yep.
You know,
There's
local church say, hey, if you guys don't have anything going on Thursday mornings, can we borrow your church to?
Yep.
No,
So that's
hold a
what we
meeting?
ended up doing. We ended up going just down the road to the Baptist church. They allowed us to come in, and we built a really good relationship with them, to the point where, you know, they're always during holiday seasons having dinners and inviting the guys to come. And then if there's extra food, they bring it up to the houses. So,
Nice.
you know, that's kind of how that started, by us starting a meeting at the house, you know, outgrowing it within the first day to migrating down to the Baptist church. We started really good relationship with the churches. Another church in town, Genesis Church, they help fund the guys if they go to either, there's two local treatment centers. They can reach out to the church to help. They'll help up to $200 to get them into the door for their sobriety deposit. Um, and it's, you know, it's a great way, and the guys, you know, can attend the church too. But it's a great way for the community, recovery community and the religious community to kind of meet. So we're fortunate too there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
I agree too that the online meetings should definitely be a last resort, especially for people coming in with an early recovery that haven't really found like their footing yet. They really don't have much under their belt as far as recovery. I definitely agree that they should be in person and trying to find their path and their group of people that they can go to, and not just like hide behind a computer, because that would make things
Yeah.
really easy to just turn your maybe even just turn your screen off and just kind of be involved. And then yeah, I feel like you could easily just fall down and just not go to them anymore if that's all you're relying on.
Right. Yeah. This is a disease of disconnection too, right? Like that's the beast wants us to be apart from, and you know, connection and recovery is being a part of. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's part of integrating them back into the society too. We want them to be in the community and be part of our community and build those contacts and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's an important part of their journey moving forward, because it can't just hide and depend on the home. They have to be reaching out and find other resources in the community that will help them.
Yeah, indeed.
And a lot of people find like going to the recovery meetings. I mean, they find their community in those meetings. They find people that are like-minded and people that think the same things and kind of like to do the same things. And so they start hanging out. They do what? They go out after meetings to have a cup of coffee or to have something to eat, or they meet up and do other things. They have barbecues, they have cookouts, they have just all kinds of stuff, and just you need to develop those kind of friendships and those kind of things with other people. So that kind of does become your community, or at least a part of it. So anyway.
I find that with some people that we work with, because Recovery Road does require, 5 meetings a week, but with some people we work with, we don't even word it as you're required to have 5 recovery meetings. Many times we'll word it as 5 self-help meetings. And most of them we still require to be recovery based. But for some people, we go, if you have a psychologist that you're working with and you're helping with your mental health, we can consider that as being part of your recovery meetings, because we're trying to encourage them to become a full functional self and not just make it about how can I white knuckle it and just not drink again. We want them to expand it to how can I be a total complete person again. So anything that will fit within that realm, we also can consider as being one of their meetings, as long as they have that discussion with us up front.
What do you guys think about that?
I think everyone should be in therapy. So that's a great part.
Right.
Any journey, really. So.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of their aftercare planning, right? Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of, psych and social services in our town, so we cannot make it mandatory. But if we have, or if we had the opportunity to have more counselors available, I would definitely make it mandatory. But it's It's highly encouraged, definitely within our organization, that you continue aftercare planning, do group and private therapy, but we can't make it mandatory yet. So, so therefore, it has to be mandatory that their recovery pathway is it's a must.
Good.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure I didn't misspeak myself. Yeah, we don't make it mandatory either, but we do allow that to be a option for those who have the need or interest. That if they present it, we do welcome that.
Yeah, that's good.
What do you think, Glennis? You're muted. You're still muted. You're on two different.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah, yay. I like that idea of, I think it's, as from a person who's in long-term recovery myself and who did 8 years of therapy, I highly recommend it, and I think it should be a part of our journey. And we will allow people, when I was working in that field, we allowed people to use their therapy sessions as one of the number of, self-help that we thought they should do. But we were very open to a lot of different pathways. And if we didn't have a pathway, we would if 3 or more of them wanted to go into a meeting virtually, that was a different pathway that wasn't welcomed in our area, as long as they did it in more than one person just staying home, and have 3 to more sit in on that meeting. Because AA, frankly, and NA doesn't always work for everybody. Just the way it is. Worked for me, but I can't say that just because it worked for me, it works for everybody. So, I know a lot of people it didn't work for. So, but I like that idea of letting therapy be part of your journey and your self-help, because that's what it is, self-help.
I like that idea too. If they're going to be doing a virtual, that they have like 3 or so other people with them, so it's still like they're part of a community, and they can have a discussion about what they're hearing and stuff like that afterwards as well. And that's their family. That's their home where they're staying at. That's their big support. A lot of people don't have family anymore. They burned those bridges, so it's important that they're building that community within their home as well, and having them all part of that meeting, I think is a good idea.
I would kind of like to hear also, because it's been my experience in our area, that if you do AA, people say you got to, find the God of your understanding. But the majority of people in there push God. That's, in our area, they don't really, and if you're not doing the God, they question your journey. So I'm wondering if that's like that in other areas as well. You can't hardly not do God when you go to AA. It's hard. And I tried AA for 15 years and did that, but I changed the Lord's Prayer and I did all kinds of things, but I liked the steps, but I didn't like that concept. So I'm wondering if it's like that in other areas.
Anyone else experience that?
I think ours depends on which meeting you go to, because some of ours are a little more pushing that you have to, but that God has to be the answer, no other, higher power. But then we have other ones who are just, hey, whatever your higher power is, go for it. So we always tell them, like, hey, if that first one wasn't the one, try different ones, because we know these ones don't push as much, so that might be a better fit for you.
Yep.
Something else you guys want to talk about, or things that you've learned and your experiences with running your homes or in your own recovery that could be helpful for other operators as they work with individuals in their homes?
Well, because I'm not in recovery myself, I have a curiosity that has hit me that maybe some of you that have gone through that journey or are more aware of services could enlighten me about. Is I hear a lot about you know, in recovery or in breaking any bad habit, you have to find something that you love more than that bad habit in order to gravitate towards, in order to have a long-term change. And so I understand the mental gymnastics of all that, but is that officially part of any type of counseling or treatment plans that people do at these treatment centers?
What exactly are you asking that they do
Yeah,
what?
that okay. I know that when people are trying to break a bad habit, no matter
Hmm.
what the bad habit is, part of the mental gymnastics of breaking that bad habit is finding something else that you love or you value more than that bad habit. And I'm wondering, is that identifying what it is that you love more, or what is it that inspires you more than the bad habit? Going through that identification step in your brain, is that part of formal treatment plans
You know, I would
in
say no.
agencies?
I would say no. I think it's just part of the whole journey that you find other things because you don't even know what you like. So it's part of the process, but it's not, well, let's talk about the things you love. And they may do that, but it's not finding. I mean, a lot of people say it was my kids and I did it, or, for whatever reason they loved more than using. But it's different for every single person, and it's not always. You find that on your personal journey. It's just like everybody has said. It's really good to be around other people in recovery because you see what they're doing and you do different things. And RCOs are really great to like have people come and help with activities, and they meet other people and they do all kinds of sports stuff. I mean, it's just part of the process. It's not one of your, let me just say this, on a treatment plan, it's not number one objective, find something else I love more than using. It's just part of the process.
Right.
That's, I have worked in therapy and I have been in therapy, and it just all happens in part of a process. You learn yourself because you don't know who you are. So it's about learning who we are and what we like.
Yeah,
I
I agree with now you'll be surprised, Glennis, but I do agree with that, right? I I mean, I worked in treatment centers for many, many years, and it was never part of a treatment plan to do that. And I think part of it was because um, in order people who come into recovery are usually uh, in a great amount of desperation because of what they're, I mean, it takes a lot to get there. It takes a lot of losses to get there. It takes a lot of, whatever. I mean, and sometimes just, and I hate to simplify it like this, but it's just the fact that okay, I see a road to getting my life back. I see a road to being alive, to not dying anymore, and that kind of stuff. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes, and I know when I walked into, and I'll just say this, but when I walked into my first AA meeting, and I said this to somebody the other day, that they asked me about, I don't know, about coming back and stuff. And when I walked into that meeting, I knew inside of me, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that those people in that room had something I didn't have. And that's what kept me coming back, because I wanted to know what that was. Um,
That's nice, Wally. I just looked around the room and said, "Oh, look at all these nice looking guys."
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's why Kevin always said, tell the guys only stag meetings twice a week. So they weren't focused on that skirt across the table, right? And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, look all the stuff we got in common. No, focus
Lord
on
have
what's going on.
mercy.
Well, my therapist told me, well, that's nice, Glennis, that they're all good looking, but if you walk anywhere towards them, you need to turn around because something's wrong. It's not going to turn out good because your picker is broke. So, yeah.
What's that saying? Under every skirt's a slip.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah,
That
but
works both
just like
ways.
treatment and meetings, not everybody's there for the the same reason. You know, some people, they've hit their rock bottom, they're done, and they want that help. And then there's people that got caught and arrested and they are court ordered to be there and they really don't want to be there. So, you know, could be the meetings, could be treatment. So not everybody's there because they want to be. You know, they're there because they're forced to be. And that's one thing we heard from the guys too. They don't want to go to meetings because the guy next to them smells of alcohol or is high. And well, it's because a person's court order. They just need that slip sign. They're not there because they're ready for it. So it's a difficult journey.
I think the main focus when entering treatment or the beginning stages of recovery is just doing the things you don't want to do. I don't want to go to a meeting. I don't want to go to group. Do it anyways. I think those are the main things that all treatment and recovery focuses on at first, because that's the thing, because everything that you don't want to do is going to save your life. So that is pretty much their first treatment plan. Go to your classes, go to your groups, go to your therapy, go to your IOPs, go to your meetings. And they're like, I don't want to do it anyways. So I think that's the first stages, right? And then, like, after a year of finally doing, you know, getting used to the things we don't want to do, then we're like, all right, do I like Fruit Loops or do I like generic Fruit Loops? Like, and just those small things, right? Like, oh, I like drawing, but I don't like painting. Like, you know, my therapist always said, well, if you don't know what you like or what you want, figure out what you don't want and what you don't like. And then you can figure it out from there. So it's a process, like everybody's saying.
Yeah. Way to look at it.
When you learn that too, that's a good point about not wanting to do something. I remember we had a group therapy session and our therapist was taking us on a weekend trip and she wanted to get it planned and everybody had to raise their hand if they wanted to go. And I kind of raised my hand halfway and she's like, oh, Glennis, I'm so surprised you'd want to go. I said, I don't. That's why I'm going. I didn't want to go, you know, and I knew that I needed to step out of myself. That's the one thing, if you want it to work, you got to step out of yourself. So, and it's a hard thing to do. You're right. It's a very hard thing to do. So when you're ready to do that, that means you're ready. You know, you're in the readiness for change. You're at a good place.
Kevin used to tell the guys, yeah, keep bringing up Kevin, but everything I've learned basically is from him. But guys would say, well, how long do I have to go to meetings? You know, you go to meetings until you want to start going to meetings. That's how long you need to go to meetings, you know. Because none of them want to go in the beginning.
What are some of the trends, if you don't mind me asking, folks, on women recovery housing? Are the numbers of women down for you, or are they up? Is it a majority men, or has that changed? What kind of trends are you seeing out there for related recovery housing for both men and women?
I know my operations director bugs me at least once a week, begging me, please buy another house, please buy another house. So I know in Kent County, we right now we have at least a waiting list of a dozen people, and she says she turns away people 3 or 4 times a week.
Women or men?
Demand. Women. Women specifically.
Really? Do you have any houses there for women?
Yes, I do. And part of it is because out of what I have, 70 beds are men and 50 are women. So it could just be because I have 20 less beds for women. That might be why there's so much of a demand, because there's this low capacity.
So your women recovery housing has as housing 50 people? And you're full?
They're full, yes. There's currently like a 50-bed capacity, and we are always full. And it's like we always have a long waiting list.
And that's Kent County.
And that's Kent County.
Yeah,
and we tend to get people from all over because, with our capacity, we attract other people from other areas because at least there is a fighting chance to get in.
Yeah, Preston has 12 recovery homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I plan on getting another one soon.
We don't
Yes.
offer women's recovery housing in Jackson, but the one women's recovery house that is in Jackson has one female in there.
Yeah.
It's a six, it's a
The
six
numbers
bed.
are down a lot of places with women. That's why I'm asking.
So we have two women's houses and two men's houses. Our men's house, like around Kalamazoo is always full with a waiting list. Our one we just did a year ago is about the same. Our women's houses come and go.
Yeah.
We could be completely full for a good 6 months and then we're empty. One of the kind of, I guess, draws to our house sometimes is we take children too. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so we'll often, get that way too with a, pregnant woman or woman with young children. I know for a couple of months it was our women's houses were like really low where our guys' houses were just going
Yeah,
and
that's
then
common.
kind of picking up again.
Yeah, that's kind of common. And after the new year, things usually do pick up. You know,
Yeah.
our New Year's resolutions, you know.
It's like
Yeah,
those gym memberships.
yeah, yep, I know. So anybody else?
Hi.
That's two. Oh, there we go.
So we take women and children up here in Charlevoix. We
Mhm.
have between two houses, we can house 11 women and 4 or 5 children at a time. We are not at full capacity right here, but we do have a waiting list, and we have
Bear
a
River?
couple. I'm
You
sorry?
Bear River? Where are you at?
No, Joppa House Ministries.
Joppa. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So
So
yeah, we'll be
um,
getting a couple new women in this weekend actually. And then a couple have moved out and we just acquired a third house that is an alumni house. So if you go through the program here, you graduate and we have this house it was originally designed for women who do not have their children back yet, who owe a lot of child support and have outstanding debt, who can't afford to live up here in Charlevoix. You know, I went through the program, graduated the program last year, and now I'm the house supervisor here, and I'm MARS certified now.
Nice.
And you guys will see me a lot on here. Um, with that being said, I moved out of Joppa House and got a roommate that also went through the program with me, and we live off the property. But this third house can house 4 women. They each have their own bedrooms. They have a set amount that they pay each month. So that way, say that, 2 roommates move out, she's only liable for her portion, you know? It just gives them a leg up because they are in so much debt. Um, but yeah, we're always willing to take women and children. We are faith-based up here. Um, it's a really good program. If you guys know anybody, let us know.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
for
Thank you.
sharing.
Well, we got
Great.
about 3 minutes left. Does anyone have any last comments or things that they want to add or share? Any thoughts on today's conversation? Which was great,
I'm
by the
taking
way. Thank
I'm
you.
taking away the word willingness. I like the idea of like, for our people, like, do you have the willingness to make that change? Like I like that Wally was using that as a, because a good kind of thing. Like, hey, what is your willingness to do different stuff here?
Mhm. That's awesome.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And didn't get a lot of people, but we got a good conversation going. I appreciate that, and we'll see how this goes moving forward, and look at changing the time and day if we need to. But thank you for taking the time and joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.